Join me today as we talk about former President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. Pretty terrible. And the big, beautiful bill. It's still big, but it's not very beautiful. It's actually kind of garbage. And Jake Tapper's book about President Biden's cognitive decline. They knew all along and they covered it up. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T Conversation. I'm Eric T. So we need to talk about this whole giving somebody a ride to the airport. Now, I'm all about being a good friend and helping people out in their time of need. But let's be serious. If you're going on a trip, most trips are 4, maybe 7 days, a week or so. That's it. So I live near the Orlando airport, and the daily parking there in the garage is about $14 a day. So when I go to the airport, I don't really ask anybody to drive me. I just drive my own car and I leave it there parked. And then I come back, get out of the airplane, get my luggage and get right in my car and F off. I have people that ask you to pick them up from the airport or drop them off. And I started thinking about it. I said, you know what? I think that's insane. Unless you're going for 30 days, nobody wants to leave their car and you get back to a $300 bill. But if you're on vacation and you go for 7 days at $14, that's about $98, less than $100 to have the convenience of driving your ass to the airport and then leaving your own ass when you get out. That's it. So when people ask you to take them to the airport, there's a lot of responsibility with that. Now I got to wake up on time. I've got to pick you up on time. And if for some reason I screw that up or I get to the airport late, it's my fault. Here's the deal. Unless you're going for 2 weeks or longer on a vacation, either Uber your ass because it's about $100 one way, or you take your own car, or that's the only circumstance that you can actually ask somebody to take you to the airport. Minimum 2 weeks to 30 days, you're allowed to ask somebody to give you a ride because yes, it's very expensive to drop off your car at the airport and leave it there for so long. Now don't give me that there is cheaper parking. Because now I got to park outside of the airport. And sure, I'm going to save 50%. Then you got to get the little bus that takes you to the airport. And if you're late on that particular one that's going there, you can miss that and you can miss your flight. I don't like doing that. I like parking directly at the airport. So from now on, here's the new rule, people. Drive your ass to the airport. When you ask somebody to take you or pick you up, it is a huge inconvenience in their life. Nobody needs that kind of responsibility because you want to save $14 a day and not leave your car there. And I even know people that are like, well, I don't like leaving my car at the airport. Why? They got security everywhere at the airport. They got cops everywhere. They got cameras everywhere. And there's thousands of cars. No one's screwing with your particular model that particular week when your car's there. So act like you're a professional business person. And when you travel, don't ask anybody to take you to the airport. Go yourself. Spend the money, because if you're going on vacation, you're already planning on spending thousands of dollars. You got airline tickets, you got hotel, you got fun and games, you got food, excursions, all kinds of shit. Plan on spending $100 for parking. Now, Orlando's $14 for the garage. I don't know what it is in LaGuardia or Kennedy or at LAX, but I'm assuming it's probably not that much more expensive, if it is at all. Save the money, pay for your own car, and drive yourself to the airport. Nobody else wants to be burdened with that responsibility. Well, that's my observation of the day. Now for the conversation. Unfortunately, bad news just came out. Former President Joe Biden has stage 4 prostate cancer. Yes, he has prostate cancer. And yes, it is sad. And for everybody in America or across the world, everyone has been touched by somebody that has suffered, died, been affected by cancer at some point in time in your life. But it's Joe Biden. He wasn't really exactly a really great guy. So I feel bad for that. And I hope he has a great, speedy recovery. If he recovers at all, I hope he does, because it's bad. You don't want that bad juju on you. I hope he recovers. But I find it very strange that all of a sudden he's got stage 4 cancer. And all the experts are out there, okay? This is what the experts are saying. Urologists that are telling you, that's saying that this type of cancer, for it to be at this level, okay, level 9, whatever that is on the SP scale, whatever that scale is, it's like 2 to 10. He's at a 9. To get to that level, he would have to have it for some amount of time. It just doesn't happen the last 100 days or years in office. He's had it for quite a long time, several years, in fact. The president of the United States is surrounded by the best doctors in the world. He has the best medical care of any of us. And you mean to tell me they didn't know he had prostate cancer? Give me a freaking break. The dude had it for a long time. Matter of fact, in 2022, he was in Pennsylvania and he was talking about how he had cancer. And then the media just swept it under the rug and nobody investigated. Nobody did anything. Nobody asked him any questions about that comment. And now all of a sudden, he's got cancer. Now, I'm just speculating, but it's kind of weird that all of a sudden, right before the WHO report from when he got investigated for the top secret papers that he had in his garage, in his car, all over the United States, and different residences that he had, all that top secret documents that he took as a senator and as a vice president. He wasn't supposed to have them. Well, the WHO report came out, and now they're releasing the audio. And the audio is very damning. So all of it has not been released. Some of it is redacted with names and stuff, but some of it has been released. And you can clearly tell former President Biden was severely on a cognitive decline. He couldn't remember when his son passed away. He couldn't remember dates, simple things that he should know. And especially if you're a president of the United States. And the report was so bad, they decided not to charge him with anything because he was almost incompetent. Basically what the report said, that he was so old and kind of frail mentally, it would be cruel to put him on trial. But he's running our country. He was running our country for another 2 years. So all of a sudden, they left it to AG Pam Bondi to release the full report. And I hope she released the entire tape because now the cat's out of the bag. And now Jake Tapper is coming out with his book called Original Sin and is basically telling how the whole cognitive cover-up with Joe Biden was. And Jake Tapper is all over the media now, and he's got to go. He's got to meet. He met with Megyn Kelly. He's meeting with all these other right-wing conservative groups and podcasters and radio hosts because he's trying to sell a book. And he's going to sell a lot of copies of this book. But he's getting hammered. He was on an interview a couple years ago with Laura Trump, and she was talking about his cognitive decline before the election. And he was attacking her, saying it was a stutter. Let me tell you something. They use Joe Biden's stutter all the time. I've never heard this guy stutter. Never heard him stutter. I don't think you've ever heard him stutter because I've never heard him stutter. And every time he has a gaffe, they blame it on his stutter. And he was attacking Laura Trump, talking about, oh, well, he had a stutter and you're attacking him for that. And she's like, well, I mean, he was clearly said, you can clearly tell he has a cognitive decline. And she's like, and he's, basically ramrodding her over the whole stutter thing, which now he said he apologized. On Megyn Kelly's show, he said that he apologized to Laura Trump for saying what he said to her, that she was essentially 100% correct. Now, he's doing that because he's selling books. But isn't it strange that all of a sudden this happens and all of a sudden they come out with Joe Biden has prostate cancer, stage 4? I mean, I'm telling you right now, that dude's not going to make it. He's 82 years old. He's not going to make it. He's not. Next thing you know, in 6 months from now, he's going to be in hospice or some shit like that, and he's probably going to be gone. It was all a ploy to get this guy in office to do what they needed to do. No coincidence that they came out with that prognosis the day the horror report came out and right before the Jake Tapper book comes out, because you want you to feel sorry for him. Even Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader of Congress, said, we should really stop talking about his cognitive decline. The man has cancer now. No. It don't work that way. The man has cancer. He was a terrible president, the worst president in the history of America, in my opinion. Absolute worst president. And you can't tell me otherwise. And if you're on the left and you think he did such a bang-up job, you are blind and naive because it's all coming out. These are facts. He was on cognitive decline for years. This is my opinion only. But I believe Obama didn't want to support him in 2016 because He knew he was his vice president. He knew that his cognitive decline was bad, was getting bad. So he supported Hillary Clinton. And then she lost. And then in 2020, in that election, they figured, you know what? They like Bernie Sanders, but they figured, you know what? He's kind of a wild cannon, but Joe Biden could be manipulated. Who knows? Maybe, I'm speculating here, maybe they talked to old Jill Biden and they said to her, hey, listen, we're going to back him, but we want to be able to control him and he'll do what we need him to do. And that's essentially what it did. All of these documents were signed by Otto Penn pretty much his entire presidency. So you can say whatever you want, feel sorry for him, and nobody deserves to have cancer. It's a terrible disease. And, my mother-in-law, suffered from it. My father-in-law, two of my father-in-laws passed away from it. I've had family members die of cancer. So it's terrible. So I do wish him a healthy and fast recovery if he recovers. But I find it very coincidental and convenient that when all this stuff starts coming out about Joe Biden, they come out with his cancer prognosis that he's had for a very long time. According to the experts and every urologist that they interviewed, this must have been 6 or 7 that I watched, and they all said, you don't just get this. This isn't something you have for 100 days. You've had this for years. And they know a lot about cancer. A lot of things are coming out. Who was running this country? I think they just found the individual who was in charge of the auto pen. They found him earlier today. And whoever that is in a freaking world of trouble. Because once they get him into a room and start interrogating that individual, they're going to sing like a canary. Nobody's going down for this crap. Nobody. No matter what they say. A lot of things are starting to come out, coming to the surface. Like Maria Bartoloma, she just interviewed Kash Patel, the FBI director, and assistant FBI director Dan Bongino. And the most shocking news that they come up with is they said Epstein didn't take himself out. They said they looked at the reports and they know what a suicide looks like when you read it. And that's exactly what it was that they witnessed. Okay, from the paperwork and the information and the investigation that they looked at. The right is going nuts, criticizing them, saying, oh, they must be on the take, or they must be compromised now, or the deep state is deeper than we thought. I don't think so. I really believe those two guys, and like I said, I read both their books. And if you haven't read their books, I suggest you do it. I believe that those guys, their reputations are extremely important to them, especially Dan Bongino. I mean, the guy had huge following on his Twitter account, on his Dan Bongino show, and he was a huge conservative advocate and spokesman for the right. I believe his reputation is just too important to him. And I don't think they covered it up. This is what I think might have happened. I'm speculating on this too. Now, maybe he did take himself out, but who knows? Maybe he got a knock on his cell door. Somebody came in there to visit him and said, hey, listen, on Tuesday, whatever date this is, you need to take care of this. Because if not, we're going to take out your family. We're going to hurt so-and-so, do something to this person and this person. And what's going to happen? You're not going to have a cellmate in here that's going to stop you. The cameras are going to be off. And we're going to make sure these prison guards are sleeping or not paying attention to the cameras. And the cameras will all be off. Who knows? Maybe that happened. I can get behind that scenario and that he took himself out. But everybody said, oh, no, he didn't kill himself, whatever. Okay. I believe these guys. I think their credibility is impeccable thus far. I haven't found anything that I've seen or witnessed that's going to tell me otherwise. So that's my scenario. That's what I think happened, why Epstein actually took himself out. That's just my opinion. I can be completely wrong, but I can get behind that scenario, that why he took himself out, because maybe he was threatened some way, shape, or form. Maybe some family member, somebody that you don't even know and we never heard of, that he cares near and dear about, was going to either get prosecuted or was going to be, 86th. Now, speaking of 86, James Comey, everybody knows about that infamous picture now that he saw with these seashells on the beach that spelled out 8647, 8647. Everybody knows what 86 means. It's a restaurant term that means remove something off the menu, get rid of it. But we all know what it really means. And he just came out on the news this morning, or yesterday morning. He's talking about, well, I was just happened to walk across and I just saw these seashells sitting there and I thought it was an interesting photo to take. And it just so happens it's 8,647 days after the World Trade Center happened in 9/11. You could call that a coincidence, but that's a serious, serious coincidence. 8,647 days after 9/11 to the date that was posted. You can't make this stuff up, people. You can't make it up. So he's coming out saying that it was just a photo. He just thought it was neat shell, I guess, collection, and he just took a picture and posted it. Yeah, bullshit. A lot of things are getting stranger and stranger and stranger by the minute. Trump is back from Saudi Arabia, which was a great tour. We talked about it on my last show. Senate last night passed the Genesis Act, which is basically the stable coin bill. I think it was 66 to 32. I think the vote came in around 10:30 at night, somewhere around that, which is a huge, huge win for America. If you're not into cryptocurrencies, you really should get into it and start learning more about it, because they're going to use the cryptocurrencies, the stable coins, to facilitate all the payments through our government. It's not going to be a CBDC and you're going to have to use that now. You can't use cash or your debit cards. It's not what a stable coin is. A stable coin is pegged to U.S. treasuries, U.S. dollars, gold, things like that. It's backed by an actual monetary fund. But it stays at $1. It's pegged at $1. So when we start sending money overseas, we're going to be using stable coins to do that. Now, Senator Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren was pissed. I'm going to tell you why I think she's pissed. Because these senators that vote against this understand what putting cryptocurrency and our money shipped overseas for aid or anything else like that on a blockchain. That means all the money that we send to all these foreign countries for whatever reason can be tracked on a blockchain. And now all that money washing that they do to go right back into their pockets, you can't do it anymore because every single penny is tracked through the blockchain. And that's why they're pissed about it. So if anybody doesn't understand this is progress, nobody has a problem with progressing with AI because that's going to be the future. But the way we transfer money at the speed of light within seconds costs us 0.5% through a blockchain where it can be tracked from anybody can go on the blockchain and observe where that money goes. If you don't like that, there's a reason why you don't like it. Well, maybe because that money goes through the washing machine somewhere, goes up to Ukraine, let's say, and comes right back to some political guy's pockets or his account in a pallet of money. You can't really track cash. You can't. But you can certainly track cryptocurrencies. And a stable coin is going to do all those payments for the U.S. government. So that got passed. That's a huge win for our government and the crypto community. So they're going to go for a vote, and that was a majority. So it had super majority votes. It was 66-32, and now they just need a simple majority to pass that. So 51 should do the trick, and then it's going to go to the House, maybe get some finalized there, and then poof, it goes off and becomes law. And that's going to happen very quickly. The crypto bill is going to be coming out hopefully in August as well. And the big, beautiful bill is big, beautiful nothing. I think it's garbage. Once the Republicans got a hold of it, they turned it into crap. You know, all the provisions on there, there's nothing in there that you think it would be great. All the tax cuts for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime pay, not what you thought it was going to be. It's in there, but it's not what you think it's going to be because it's only from 2025 to 2028. That's it. No tax on seniors for Social Security. That's gone. They're going to give the seniors a $4,000 tax credit. That's not what Trump asked for. These cuts should be permanent, but you only got them for 3 years. And then what's going to happen? They're going to have to vote on them to put them in again. And there's a lot of provisions with them as well. There's some good things in the bill, but there's a lot of provisions in order to get these no tax on tips, no tax on overtime pay. But the biggest one that I was really disappointed was that they got rid of and they pulled out no tax on seniors for Social Security. That's a huge benefit for seniors. Now, we'll see what happens when Trump looks at it and he talks to them. I guess he met with Congress today. He's going to talk to them about what he wants in this bill and hopefully they make some more adjustments and get him what he wants. I think what happens is these politicians don't represent their constituents. They think their opinion matters. It really doesn't matter. Hey, Mr. Congressman or Congresswoman or Senator, your opinion to me doesn't matter. What matters is what your district wants you to vote for, period. Whatever district you're from. If your district is telling you they want no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and those things that they want in that bill, then you need to vote on that because that's what they put you there. We're constitutional republic, right? We're a democracy, but we're a constitutional republic. We have representation at a low level. And those representatives will represent the will of the people. And they're not doing it. We'll see what happens. All these politicians that are voting no on these things. And let's see how many of them get primaried in 2026, because it's going to happen. The days of you just moonwalking back in again, those are over. And if you're a sitting congressman right now and thinking you're just not going to get primaried, because typically that's what happens. If you're the Republican or a Democratic person sitting there, unless you're a real dirtbag, you don't get primaried. That's kind of how it is. They respectfully don't primary you. You kind of automatically get that position again, and then you go to the election against the Democrat nominee or the Republican nominee. That's how it works. Now, you're going to get primaried. There's a rude awakening that's coming for these politicians in 2026 if they don't start doing the will of the people. And Speaker Mike Johnson, you got to have some balls, man. You seem like a real big coward. You can't get anything done. You just can't. So we'll see what happens in the next few days. A lot's happening. We keep pushing forward to it. And hopefully they get us the tax breaks that we want. Extending the Trump tax cuts. They want to make them permanent. That got dropped out too. There's a bunch of things in there that the Republicans are just dropping the ball on. And it's really starting to get under everybody's skin. And they don't care, because they really don't care what you think. Your opinion doesn't matter to them anymore. But it's going to matter in 2026 when they get primaried and they lose their seat, because that's what needs to happen. Well, that's it for today. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, and some good old fashioned conversation. Thanks.